18, I believe it is. Kind of starting to lose track a little bit. I told you guys this next video that's coming out will be about diet and nutrition and what I've done to prepare my metabolism to come out here and what I've done since I've been out here as far as on a daily basis. We'll examine some of the nutritional values of some of the things I'm eating, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And also some of the things that you'd be wasting your time on. So that being said, I guess we'll start with some footage of some different things this week, some animals and some other things that, just scenic beauty more than anything else. But after we get through that, I'll come back and we'll break this nutrition down and we'll look at this thing on a daily basis and look at some of the teachings that's going on in the survival industry these days that absolutely make no sense. But y'all hang tight. We'll get this footage rolling and I'll be back in a few minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed that. As you can see, we've had some snow, probably an inch or two. Temperatures in the high 20s, low 30s. I love it. I love cold weather. So, it's just, I'm happy to see it. I hope we get quite a bit more of it. Snow in this part of the country is not usually this early, and so it's a welcome sight as far as I'm concerned. So let's talk about diet. Let's talk about nutrition. Coming out here trying to stay extended periods of time like I'm doing, and living from just the land and not being dependent on stores and outside resources. You need to understand first and foremost that you're going to be low carb whether you want to be or not. That's just the reality. The average American is taking in 250 to 400 carbohydrates a day on average. Good luck getting that out here, especially in the wintertime. It's just not going to happen. When I came out, the first 5 days, well, let's talk about basal metabolic rates first. Everybody has what's called a basal metabolic rate. It is how many calories your body needs to burn, or how many your body requires at rest to function, just to live. There are calculators online. You can figure that out for your age and your height and weight. I'm 6'3", 230 pounds, 45 years old. Mine works out to around 2,100 calories a day is what I need to put in to function at rest. If I'm living a sedentary lifestyle, You multiply that by 1.2, and I promise you, everything I'm doing out here is sedentary. I'm not raising my heart rate. I'm not doing anything with any speed, no strenuous labor whatsoever. It's slow rolling it every day. I want my body to run efficiently. I want to make good use of the fuel I can put in it, because I understand that fuel out here may be limited at times. So let's talk about how I make my body more efficient. Is there any way to lower your basal metabolic rate? And the answer is yes. You can do that in multiple ways, but the main three are extended fasting, intermittent fasting, and taking one meal a day. So back in February or March, I went into ketosis. I needed to drop 20, 30 pounds. So I went into ketosis, voluntarily went low carb. I took in 15 carbs a day or less. I stayed that way for about 2 months. I'm back where I want to be now. I'm back where I'm comfortable and back where I'm going to stay. So my goal out here is not to lose weight. It's not to gain weight. It's to maintain what I'm doing. It's not real hard. You just got to make efficient use of what you're putting into your body. So when I first came out here, before I came out here, I was doing intermittent fasting 1 day a week, 24-hour period a week, kind of playing with my protein and fat intake, and just kind of getting where I needed to be. So fasting to me was no big deal. Been doing it. Anybody that's done low carb or has been in ketosis for extended periods of time, I'm 9 or 10 months in. 9 months in now. Anybody that's done it for extended periods of time will tell you your appetite vanishes. You don't want anything to eat. If you eat very small amounts, it's all that you need. So it's just kind of one of them things where it better equips me to do this kind of stuff. So when I first came out, the first 5 days, I did nothing but fast. I did water intake only. I wanted to rid my body of all the glucose, all the glycogen. I wanted to get into a deep ketosis, and that's where I wanted to stay. Now, knowing that, once I've known that I'm in there, I plan on fasting 1 day a week, and I have. So now that I've got a good baseline to work from, I know what I need to put into my body going forward on a daily basis. And with 5-day fast on the front end and a 1-day fast per 7-day period out here over 13 weeks, I'm looking at, what is that? 18 days of the 100, I don't even have to worry about food. But there again, it doesn't take very much. So let me stop now. Let me post up a photograph of my daily intake and my daily targeting, and then we'll talk about that in just a minute, and then we'll keep moving forward. Hang tight. All right, as y'all can see right here, these are my daily goals, my daily intake, and that's what I'm out here looking for. I need about 16 ounces of wild game. It really doesn't matter what kind, because the nutritional values of squirrels, rabbits, all this kind of stuff is pretty close. Some have a little bit more fat content, like raccoons and possums or what have you, but around 16 ounces a day is what I'm after. That gives me that number of calories, that many grams of fat, and that much protein. I'm taking in hickory nuts, acorns, walnut, whatever I can get my hands on, and you can see the stats there for that. Then animal fat, that's what my body's fueled on. I need those calories from that fat. I need about 5 1/4 ounces. So if I'm 4 to 6, I'm pretty good. I can actually back the protein off a little bit if I need to. And then, the greenery, the occasional nibble from basically nothing. Most of it's not worth much. I just like it for the vitamin content, and that's about it. So I have a daily goal of around 2,400 calories. You can see the fat and the protein grams there. I can adapt that as needed and can do it with animal fats. The thing about this stuff, guys, is you got to have this game plan going in. I know going in, because I've already done my homework and done my research, so I know what to pursue out here. And that changes the whole way you pack, that changes everything you carry, and that changes what you target. It saves a bunch of wasted calories and wasted energy. All right, now that you guys have seen what my daily goals are, my daily intake is, we'll do some slides here in a minute and show you the types of foods I'm eating. Wild game, 16 ounces or so, but the only greenery I'm really taking in are some wild grape leaves or muscadine leaves and kudzu. As this time goes on, that's going to cease. That stuff's going to be gone. There are a few other things out here, but you're looking at your calorie you're deficient just even pursuing that. So the only place to get everything you need is out of the animal world. I mean, that's just a fact. The only thing I can't get out of animal is vitamin C, pines. There's plenty of resources for that out here. It's no problem to get. So the animal world provides everything I need. Now, the deal with the low carb stuff is staying in ketosis is you got to watch your fat intake. You got to prevent protein poisoning. I can't sit out here and just eat squirrels all the time or rabbits or whatever the case may be and not have my fat intake up. So do animals sometimes have to be taken just for their fat content? Yes, that's just the reality. I know about how much weight of everything to put into my body. I know how much, meat is on certain animals and what their caloric and fat values are. I've already done my research prior to coming out here. I've already weighed acorns. I've already weighed hickory nuts. I've already weighed, deboned squirrels. And so you got to do a lot of homework with this stuff before you go out here and just roam around and think you're going to be successful, because you're asking to get yourself in trouble if you don't. A lot of the teachings out here in this business these days are all about identifying wild animals. You can eat this, you can eat that, you can eat this, this has got vitamin A in it, whatever, you can eat dog shit. But the question you got to ask yourself, is this a viable nutritional option for me given my current set of circumstances? And if you're talking about greenery and mushrooms, 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. So out here in the wintertime, trying to stay long periods of time, you better know how to hunt, and you better know how to get your fat intake right. And there are a lot of things you're going to have to take into consideration. You're going to be low carb, like it or not. That's just a fact. Don't just assume that because somebody's teaching you about wild edibles that they know what the hell they're talking about, because I have yet to see anybody that's actually taken a lot of time and looking at the nutritional values of these things. It's easy to learn to identify things, but you need to understand how that works in your body and how much amounts of that kind of stuff you need for certain vitamins and things like that. There's no one blanket correct answer for this stuff. Everybody's metabolism is different. Everybody's diet is different. Everybody's needs are different. I suggest if you're going to look at long-term sustainability that you do your homework beforehand. You do your testing in your home. You do your dietary manipulations and stuff at the house before you ever go out here. Don't think for 1 second you're going to go out here and just live off the land with your atlatl and your loincloth. It ain't happening. So let's talk about my BMR. How do I lower my BMR to be more efficient? We talked about my 5-day fast. I plan on doing intermittent fastings. So that's that. You can lower your BMR 15 to 20% roughly with an extended fast. And I only eat 1 meal a day. I've been doing that for several months. But you can get a 15 to 20% reduction in that BMR. So I'm probably down around 1750 a day at rest. So I multiply that by the 1.2, and I'm back up to my 21 and a half. Somewhere around in there is pretty close to what my body needs. There's another myth out here in the survival world that you need 3,500 calories a day. Well, that ain't true either. You can make your metabolism do what you need it to do. And, if you're under a lot of physical stress and you're hiking and you're running crazy all the time, maybe you do need 3,500. But just to come out here and live, there are some things you can do to change that. So that's not a given formula either. So you do what's best for you and learn your body and learn your diet and do your thing. Don't do what somebody else says. I don't expect what I do to work for you or for anybody else. It works for me. And the reason I know it works for me is because I've spent the last 10 months having it work for me. So, do some research, do your homework. All right, guys, sorry about that. The camera started slipping a little bit on that tree I've got it propped up on. So, everything's wet and slick. But we were talking about BMR. We're getting to my BMR. By doing the steps I told you with the fasting and the 1 meal a day kind of thing, you can get extended fasting. You can get a 15 to 20% reduction out of that BMR. So I've really been able to drop mine down to about 1750 probably. You multiply it by the 1.2 for a sedentary type of lifestyle I'm doing here. I'm back up around 2,100 calories a day. I've got a daily target of about 24. If I need to increase that, fat's the way to do it. I don't need to take in much more protein than I've got on the chart that you saw. Just increase animal fat. What's going to have to start happening here as this time progresses. I've been doing fine with the small game. There's plenty of it, just ungodly amounts of it. But the fat, luckily this time of year everything is fattening up for the winter, so I'm getting it. But I think what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start killing deer and make arrangements to get them hauled out. I don't need the deer. That's the crazy thing about it. There's so much small game out here. I don't even need one, but I do need the fat off of it. So what's fixing to start happening is I'm going to start taking the deer, taking their fat off, getting them hauled out of here, and start rendering that fat down and use that as a dietary supplement to go with the small game that's more leaned out. Acorns and hickory nuts, there's still tons of it. Sit and watch squirrels, kill the squirrel, steal his stash. It's not hard, man. You just got to know what to pursue and what to put in your body. So going back to that, do what works for you. I don't expect what I do to work for you with everybody, being set up to function differently and everybody's metabolism being different. Just test drive this stuff, man. Test it in your home. See what your body needs, and do what's best for you. Best advice I can give you. But I hope y'all enjoy the rest of this. I'm gonna put up some slides on the different foodstuffs I'm eating. Let you look at the nutritional values of that. And then I've got one more little segment in this video. I don't want to make this a 30-minute video, so I got one more little segment, and we'll examine some of the mythical pursuits of food endeavors out here. So stand by. We'll get that rolling. Camera's killing me. It keeps sliding around. I had to stop and cut a stick to get it propped up a little better. I'm using, well, I'll do a video on that later. So now you saw those slides, so let's talk about some other mythical things that you see out here. Grasshoppers. Everybody's favorite TV survival food is the grasshopper or the earthworm. Well, let's break that down. I'll put some slides up with the nutritional value of that. As far as grasshoppers are concerned, they weigh on average about a half a gram a piece. It takes 185 to 200 grasshoppers to get about 110 calories and 14 grams of protein. So you're looking at, a calorie for each grasshopper maybe. Everybody says protein comparable to chicken and all this kind of stuff. Well, that's true, pound for pound. But if you think you're going to catch 200 grasshoppers to have a 3.5 ounce serving of chicken breast and not be calorie deficient, good luck with that. Your body burns 20 to 30% just in the digestion process. Not mention you got to cook them, you got to catch them, and you got to have large quantities of them. So there's no way to go out here from the landscape and stick grasshoppers in your body and not be deficient in your nutrition. 90 countries in the world eat insects. That's fine, good. But you need to understand that's a little different than out here. If you're using them as a protein supplement, as part of other parts of meals, or you're cooking them in oils and all this kind of stuff, that's fine. But going out here and roasting a grasshopper over a fire and eating it, there is no way that you can nutritionally benefit from that. It is impossible. The numbers just aren't there, as you can see by the slide I posted up. So now let's talk about the earthworm. Everybody's argument about the earthworm is they have a higher protein or percentage pound for pound than chicken or beef. Well, they do, but what they fail to tell you in all this kind of stuff is that the earthworm's protein rating, it is at about 65%, but that's dry weight. An earthworm is 83% water, moisture. By the time you remove the soil that it's eating and all the moisture out of it, and you dry this dude out, you can look at the slide. I've done the research on it. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to just assume that that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to do my own research. And you can tell by looking how many earthworms you're going to have. And I did my base rates on it, or I'm sorry, I did my count on that stuff using the largest size earthworms, man. You're talking 12 to 14 inches, and their max weight. Here's a four-wheeler somewhere in the distance up. Public land. Speaking of that, real quick, I'm going to be moving off of public land back to some private land. The opening of the rifle season starts Saturday. I don't want to be nowhere around that. So I'm going to go set up a home base for a while on some private land. But back to what we were talking about. The earthworm is it takes so many of them. Out here in nature, sucking down a whole earthworm, maybe a few calories, but it's not a sustainable game plan. To go out here and succeed, you have to have a nutritional game plan. It is no different than the gear you carry. It is no different than your prior notifications, no different than your day-to-day routine. You have to have a game plan with your diet and nutrition, and you can't just wander around out here and think it's all good. You'll get yourself in trouble if you do. So guys, that's all I got this week. I'm just going to continue to hunt, man. Continue to do what I'm doing. Probably do some videos on things like the cameras, what I'm using to take game with, and we'll get more as this wears down and the public land pressure ceases. I'll be returning to these large expanses of land, and we'll get more into daily life, how I'm preparing food, how I'm rendering fat, things of that nature. We'll talk more about my camera gear and my battery packs and how I'm getting that done. But other than that, guys, I'm loving it, man. Loving this cold weather. This video will be coming out tomorrow, the next day, day 20 or 21. And I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll be back in touch. If you got some direct questions on this diet stuff, shoot me a message or whatever. I'm trying to check the social media and the phone, once every couple of days or so. So just ask me, man. Just ask me a question, and I can give you some more detailed information. Like I said, I don't want to make this a 30-minute video. That's what's happening out here. So y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.
Ow. Talk to him. I mean, sometimes you got people going against you, and you just got.
All right, guys. Seems like I always do this. One more thing to add to that. As far as wilderness survival stuff goes, you don't need to pursue any wild edibles outside of a 72-hour window. You should already be positioned and packed for 72 hours. And if you want to eat some stuff during that time, that's great. But when you look at the search and rescue stats and you understand just how how your body works with this stuff, the danger you run into with an extended situation, thank God statistically that's so minuscule that it's never really necessary to eat. But in an extended situation, should it ever possibly occur, the danger you run into is toggling your body back and forth between being in ketosis or not being in ketosis. And what happens is your body burns a higher rate of the proteins than it will your fat stores. The average American's 20-25% fat. If you don't believe me, go to any Walmart and have a look. Some of them a lot more than that. But the danger you run into is you're causing your body to consume more of its protein, where your muscle mass, as opposed to stored fats, by putting in 50 or 100 carbs a day, and then the next day not having anything, and then repeating that process over and over. So there are some considerations there to be had as far as survival is concerned. My best advice for that is learn how to walk a straight line. There's not many places in this country you can't find your way out of real quick. You got to be able to manage your injuries and that stuff. But I'm getting way off topic on the nutrition. Just understand that there are some issues to be dealt with and need to be understood as far as what you're putting in your body. It all goes back to having the nutritional game plan, right? So pay attention to what you're doing. All these wild edibles and stuff, don't just know that you can stick them in your body. Understand how much of that you need to stick in your body. Weigh it. I spent quite a bit of time over the last year or two studying nutritional things, and going out here and pulling, kudzu and grape leaves and putting them on a kitchen scale, putting them on a digital scale, weigh them, see what you're working with, see how much quantity you're looking at. And when you figure out you got to eat several pounds of that stuff to do any good, animals, brother. That's all I can tell you. Take care. Y'all have a good one.